All right, we are familiar with Big Meech and the BMF story, nonetheless. And if you don't know the story, that means you've been under a rock for the past 20 years, right? There's something that I've seen. I noticed that there was this man speaking, right? He made a post. There was a post online. The post, the man was speaking about how Big Meech, there's a welcome home concert for Big Meech, all right? And the gentleman, he made an observation, right? You guys let me know at home how you guys feel about this, right? Obviously, Big Meech is coming home, celebration concert. You know, everybody and their mama's trying to be at that concert. You know, all the celebrities want to perform at that concert. Also, you recall when Big Meech first came home, one of the #1 female artists, well, I would say prior to Glorilla, because I think Glorilla kind of took that spot, right? But prior to Glorilla making this ascension, it was Sexy Red. Without a doubt, Sexy Red has been the #1 woman artist prior to Glorilla's recent success. All right. Sexy Red lended herself, in which she said she's looking for the concert, the welcome home concert for Big Meech, right? In which Sexy Red said that she's going to perform for the free ski. So Big Meech coming home, obviously, big celebration for Big Meech, right? This doesn't sit well with some people out there. Like I stated before, a gentleman, he made a post on Instagram in which he said, I see Big Meech getting his celebration. He went as far as to say that kids graduating from high school, kids graduating from college don't receive that type of celebration for those type of accomplishments. He also said military personnel don't get that type of celebration when they come home, right? I understand the military personnel. I have nothing wrong with military personnel being celebrated. I don't see nothing wrong with military personnel being celebrated if you fought for the country, the trials and tribulations you went through, the things that you endured while you were out there going overseas. Me personally, I'm an Army brat, you guys. My father was in the Army. My mom was married to my little brother's father at the time, and we was stationed in England. I was stationed in California. A lot of people don't know that about me. Just some background information on L.O.T.S approved. All right. So when it comes to military, I have respect for the military personnel, right? I have no problem with military men of the military being celebrated, especially when they're coming home with accolades, stripes and awards and things of that nature. But this conversation is more so about the I ain't gonna say the common drug dealer, because to call Big Meech a common drug dealer would be an understatement. All right? This is actually about Big Meech coming home and receiving people receiving him with open arms, and the recent concert that's going to be in his honor, right? A lot of people feel like if you're a person that you're coming from a street background, a lot of people feel like you shouldn't be celebrated. The person that comes from the street, it comes with a certain stigma, in which Big Meech has this stigma on him. Obviously, this gentleman wouldn't have made this observation, right? I'm gonna say like this for the street nigga: the average street dudes, maybe not necessarily the accolades are there, but there's some men, particularly in the streets, such as a Big Meech, such as a Jay-Z, etc., that were running damn near corporations. You have men in the streets, once again, Jay-Z, Big Meech, responsible for a conglomerate, right? Different, how would you say, branches of one umbrella called BMF, Rockefeller. And this is probably prior to Jay-Z even having Rockefeller, right? Because according to Jay, he stopped doing that once he started rapping. Who knows? But what I'm going to say is Jay-Z and Big Meech, these men were responsible for directing, for designating different roles and keeping the infrastructure going of multi-million-dollar companies. It's not by chance that Big Meech was a successful drug dealer. That's not by chance. That's not a coincidence. Neither is it a coincidence that Jay-Z was so successful in the streets. You guys keep in mind, make sure you guys are hitting that like button, subscribe to the channel. Don't be a ninja watcher. As a person that be creeping and watching. Don't be no pocket watcher, because that's just a hater. And you definitely want to be one of them, one of these. That's a peeping Tom. If y'all don't know what a peeping Tom is, don't go to jail. You have to find out. Smash that like button. YouTube will take this and push it forward to their audience. We're talking about Big Meech Welcome Home concert. A lot of people out there don't like that Big Meech is being celebrated. He's being celebrated with this homecoming, with this embracement. They're embracing Big Meech. You know what Big Meech means to our culture? Urban culture, inner city culture. Big Meech's story is the story of the common man becoming successful. It's the story of the underdog becoming successful. The underdog having achievements that people that from that background don't have. Corporate level, corporate thugging. We're talking about corporate thugging. Master P spoke about that, corporate thugging. So what I'm trying to say is Jay-Z and Big Meech, they have the mind of a corporate person. They're responsible for multiple people. They have to keep a business up and running. You have to compartmentalize things. You got to know, you got to have good relation skills with your workers. People are not going to work for a boss that they don't respect. Everybody can't be a boss because everybody's not going to take orders from certain people. But these are the gifts that Jay-Z had. These are the gifts that Big Meech had. They're leaders. They're bosses. They're responsible, obviously. They can withstand the responsibility of so many people under them, being responsible for so many personnel. That's not an easy task. That takes a skill. There's a reason why Big Meech was successful. There's a reason why Jay-Z was successful. So when you see people like Big Meech being celebrated, Big Meech is not the common man with the common goals and the common accolades, right? The same people that are running these street level operations, multi-million dollar street level operations. It takes the same mind capacity to run a corporate company. It's no coincidence that Jay-Z is a successful businessman. It takes the same mental capacity, all right? So when you see the common drug dealer, when you see people in the streets, drug dealers, and though they might be peddling drugs, and you might look down on drugs, but keep in mind, that's a man that's a very intelligent man. That's a very intelligent man. And you can't just pigeonhole him to one thing. Big Meech accomplished a lot out here. Big Meech was responsible for feeding a lot of people out here. Those type of accolades need to be celebrated. You got pharmaceutical companies out here. Drugs are not necessarily, I'm not saying drugs are a good thing, but just because drugs are involved, that doesn't mean that you can condemn everything that this man brings to the table, as in how people benefited from him, his generosity, the families he took care of, the people he inspired. Big Meech is responsible for feeding multiple families. Big Meech is responsible for feeding multiple families and leading multiple men. That is a leader. He made it so people can eat, take care of their families. That needs to be celebrated. So for anybody that's out there that's questioning why Big Meech is being celebrated, that should give you an answer. For anybody who thinks that Big Meech should be condemned, well, you need to start condemning every pharmaceutical company out there too. You need to start condemning other people. Remember, this is the most dangerous podcast on God's green earth. We're talking about drug dealers that people feel like they shouldn't be celebrated. Just because you sold drugs, does that mean that you didn't do nothing good? Because you sold drugs, does that mean that you're not important to your community? Does that mean that you didn't contribute to your community? Does that mean that you're not responsible for helping people? That's my question, all right? We're not going to stay on this topic for too long. L.O.T.S Approved Media, Don't Shoot the Messenger podcast, episode number 107. You guys make sure you guys are hitting that like button, all right? And make sure everybody's subscribing to the channel. All right, subscribe to the channel so we can get our subscriptions up. That part. Hold up, and we ready for it today. Now, you guys, I want to go into this conversation right now. First of all, big shout out to Donald Trump. I don't know if you guys are ready. I just started that conversation with Big Meech. So since we talking about Big Meech, we talking about big thing. Let's talk about Trump. Now this subject's a little wobbly, right? Because you already know I don't want to be censored and shadow banned when we speak about Trump. But I think at the climate of this country, things are starting to change in America, right? With that being said, are you guys prepared for the 20th?